So we are now going to move on to talking about a garden mapping activity that we've created to share with you all. So we want you to feel confident and capable in your learning gardens, no matter what your gardening experience is. So this activity is a new one that we have developed to help support you in planning and implementing a successful planting day by creating a planting plan, a planting map based off of your school's learning garden design. So this activity can be done in preparation for any growing season, not just the spring. And so in this next section of the workshop, we're gonna just give an overview of this activity and go through the materials that'll be available to you through this activity. So the goals of the garden mapping activity are to help you prepare for your upcoming growing season and your planting day by designing, constructing, and labeling a learning garden map with seasonally relevant crops based on Big Green's seasonal garden plan, as well as reviewing planting methods and techniques for the specific crops that you'll be planting on your planting day. So like I said, we'll review those specific materials for completing this activity in the next few slides, but I just want to highlight the images shown on this slide are of the finished product of the garden mapping activity as done at Camrose Elementary last fall. So a class of 5th grade students reviewed the seasonal garden plan, and we discussed what crops they wanted to plant where, and then they constructed an enlarged map of their learning garden that was then hung up in a visible place on the school grounds so that everyone could see what was growing in the learning garden. If you're interested in doing this activity at your school or in your own home, these are the resources that will be provided to you from Big Green. So we have a lesson plan that details the whole activity with talking points and directions and how and when to utilize all of the materials. The garden bed templates A, B, and C are used to create the large finished product learning garden map that's labeled with all of the crops. The seasonal garden plan, as you all might be familiar, walks you through the different types of crops that you'll be planting and can be referenced for questions on seasonality and planting and harvest dates. The how-to planting guides demonstrate different planting processes like broadcasting or direct seeding, and there's images and words that walk you through those different steps. And the Learning Garden education layout is used for planning out what crops are going to be planted in each bed before you use those garden bed templates to create the larger version of your learning garden. And these are all the materials that as a school or as someone doing this activity on your own, you would be providing. And just make note that those seeds were provided to you at our back to school workshop last August. And if you're needing more seeds, different seeds, just let your garden educator know and we will make sure to get you connected. And if you don't have access to those seeds right now because school is closed, that's okay too. We're just taking it one day at a time. But yeah, make note of those are the materials that we'd be asking you to provide if you're doing this activity with students. So here are some pictures of students at Leland Elementary who did the garden mapping activity this past spring. And this, they kind of did it in a different way. So it was multiple classrooms involved in the activity in a scaffolded fashion. So it wasn't just one class doing the whole thing. Students of, I think, grades like 1 through 4 discussed which crops they wanted to grow in each bed, drew out the plan using the education layout, and then used the bed templates to draw those specific crops before cutting out and pasting those templates onto the final poster board. So there's lots of different ways you can envision doing this activity with multiple classrooms of students as well. And another fun thing that this group of students or this school did was they envisioned things that they wanted to grow that might not have been part of the Big Green garden plan, but crops that they were interested and excited about growing And this is a great opportunity to explore those options as well. So other considerations you can make when doing this activity include who will be involved and how you might align it to learning standards. So the possibilities are really endless. Do you want to do multiple classrooms? Is this an activity you want to do with adults, teachers, or parents? Any other way you might want to do it? The activity is also very adaptable for planning for a non-learning garden as well. So yeah, think about how you might be able to do something like this in your own home. You could do something like keep a garden journal. So a long-term garden journal, you can develop it over multiple years. You can draw out your garden plot and decide where you want to plant each thing seasonally so that you can keep a record of what is planted where. And you can also think about, how well it did, if you want to use a different variety, anything like that. And there are also digital ways to manage something like a garden journal or a garden map as well. If Excel or Google Sheets excites you, we have a garden log document in Excel that we're going to be sharing out in our follow-up resources that is basically the concept of a garden journal, but digitized, and it's really cool. So this activity, this concept is not just relegated to a big green learning garden. It's definitely something that you can encourage anybody with any type of growing space to do as well.